Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Grace and I'm not gonna bounce around it. I might be moving. For a variety of reasons I won't go into, I might be moving. Nothing terrible, but just, that's life. And you're probably wondering, well Grace, you're moving. What's this big pile of books you have next to you? Well, the thing is that I know, I'm about to move and I did the whole bookshelf organization. This kind of came up out of the blue. As I mentioned in my bookshelf organizing video, nowadays I have a hard time unhauling books because I feel like my shopping habits when it comes to books have gotten much more picky. Because I've been much more picky with my buying of books, they actually suit my taste. They're actually made, and perhaps they're actually good once I get around to reading them, that I keep them. But I have a lot of books. I think my list is still in the 600 range. It's kind of been there in a while. Like, I don't even know. I'm not gonna look it up. Like, that's where my library is, as much as I can update it, because I'm not the most great at keeping my list updated nowadays. So since I might be moving, I took a serious long look, like really decided to go scrape as much as I could here in my current abode, because I still have some books at my dad's house. So yes, this is what these 10 books are for. Basically, these 10 books have to fight for their lives to stay in my library. Of course, like many of you probably have like a bunch of unread books just sitting in your shelves. These ones in particular, for a variety of reasons, I didn't unhaul yet, and yet they've just been stuck around for a long time. A lot of these are from high school, I would say. Like when I was a less picky shopper in high school, I just kind of picked up whatever interested me. A couple of these are actually free library books, like little free library books that really interested me and I wanted to pick them up, like these two, this one I got in a giveaway. So it's like 3 from little free libraries. One of them I got from an author event. One of them was actually Rainbow Crate. I did a 1-month stint with Rainbow Crate, but it was actually the first box for Rainbow After Dark, which was like the spicy version, 18+ version of their crate. This is one the other one I didn't like. So I already gave that away. But I haven't read this one yet. This one I bought when I was in high school. This I bought when I was in high school. These 2 I got in giveaways, Goodreads giveaways. So for a variety of reasons, they're not quite an instant unhaul, but I haven't read them. Trying to unhaul now, I'm like, well, can I keep them? Some of them I'm not so sure about. Like, I'm sure they're going to be good, but are they going to, as Marie Kondo says, are they going to spark joy for me to keep? So what I decided to do, and I'm going to make this a little interesting because, if I'm going to be stressful, I might as well make content about it. I put the names of all these books into my hat here. I also got this in high school. I haven't worn it since. Plus an extra one that I just decided just now to put in because I still had a little space left in my paper to cut it up and put it in. So what I'm gonna do, best I can, and hopefully not make it too long, is I'm gonna pick the order in which I'm gonna read them and see if they can fight for their lives. Okay, so let's start. Let me see what I can do here. Learning to Swear in America by Katie Kennedy is up first. Da-da. This one interested me because it's basically a end of the world scenario for a young adult in which this like prodigy Russian teen gets hired by NASA to help stop this meteor. It's a little, I guess, like the vibe it gives me is like Don't Look Up, or what was that Tommy Wallach book I read in high school? Was it called We Are the Ants or something like that? I think it was Tommy Wallach, or maybe I'm getting it wrong, but there was that book that was also about a meteor about to hit Earth and a bunch of teens having their moments about it. Everyone seems to not care about this meteor except him, but he meets this like young girl, and because he's been a prodigy his whole life, he's never really had a normal childhood. Also, the kid's name is Yuri, and well, I think as some of you may know, I am a very big Yuri on Ice fan. So this one is first. Okay, this will be a good start. Okay, number two. Ooh, The Prey of Gods by Nikki Drayden, right next to it. Wow. So this one I bought during shutdown, back when like, hey, we have to keep buying books or else books will go out of business or something like that. This one was like, the cover is gorgeous, like absolutely, what's the word, eye-catching, very eye-catching. It's a book that follows multiple characters. Robots are now the norm and it takes place in South Africa. I don't quite remember and I don't want to make this take too long, but this is next. That'll be that. Okay. Okay. I'm trying not to look because I can see it. Ministry of Time by, I don't remember. Now they're just going in order here. By, what was it? Kellyanne Bradley. This one was recommended to me actually by an author, not the author, by another author. I went to the Alice Wynne Strand event a couple months ago for the paperback release of In Memoriam. I met this author, Vanessa Chen, there, and I have her book now because I went to another event where her book was also featured. What's funny is that like when we met at the Alice Wynne event, she told me about this book because I was like, oh, we were at a book event. What are you reading now? She's like, oh, this book is about to come out and I loved it a lot. And then I put it on my Goodreads list. And then there was the giveaway for it. This is the art copy. And then by the time I actually got the art copy, the book had already come out. So I didn't really see the whole need. And also it's a quite high concept premise where the Ministry of Time, I think, is an organization that brings people from the past into the present, and someone in the present is assigned to them to teach them about the future, basically. Because I think the premise is that like the ship captain from 1847, or because this guy who died in the Arctic in 1847 is taken from that time, brought to the future, and she has to teach him about like spot fires and something. It's just a matter of procrastination and other stuff getting around that I never got into it. So okay, I did a very bad job at explaining, but we have like 7 other books to sort, so let's do it. Please don't make it the next book on the... I swear I'm random. It's random, I promise. Someday We Will Fly. What was the author? Oh, it's the next book on this. You know, I just sorted it in order already. You know, whatever. Rachel Dworkin, Someday We Will Fly. This one intrigued me a lot. It came out when I was in high school, I think. And it's a historical fiction novel. I think it's YA. Of course, like half of these are YA. Where this family of gymnasts are fleeing Nazi occupation and they've escaped to Shanghai. I'm not going to say any more than that. And then when I told my mom, though, because I always try and get my mom to read books because English is not her first language and she's a very good English speaker, but like her brain is just not quite as wired for English. I mean, she can read, duh, but it's like she has to focus extra hard on reading English rather than reading Chinese. So I tried to recommend this to her once, and then she said, oh, but like Jewish people didn't flee to Shanghai. And then I'm like, boom, there is a whole Jewish refugee museum in Shanghai. So yeah, no, that's like it was a very interesting part of history that I didn't even know existed when I bought this book. But then years later I still haven't read it. Whoops. Okay, next one. Mexican Gothic. Finally, not the next book in the stack. Mexican Gothic. Of course, like this was super popular back when it came out. And of course, now that it's Halloween, or almost Halloween, I'm filming this in October. We'll see how this goes. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's been talked about so much already, but yeah, I found this in a free library, and so yeah, thank goodness. All right, just pick out the next one. Contract Bound by Elle May. This is the Rainbow Crate After Dark edition that I got, and then I canceled. But I am a little bit hesitant about this because the thing is, I'm never really into literary crates. I've been into various subscription crates when I was in high school. This is a lot of just like me unearthing my high school history. I was into it when I was in high school, but then the thing about crates nowadays is that like some of them, I guess when it comes to the ones that are food, like the snack boxes and stuff, those are really interesting. But then when it comes to like Loot Crate or Loot Anime or any other crates, it's just a lot of stuff. And I can't really, it's just a lot of stuff. Like when I stopped using, I admit it was Loot Crate and Loot Anime that I was into. When I stopped doing those, I was left with a lot. And then when I was moving, I was like, I'm left with a lot of stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this stuff. Some of it was definitely very helpful. I still have like bowls and aprons, but like practical stuff. Like a couple of them, I'm like, well, what do I do with this? These are like stuff that's like for kids. So, but at least the Rainbow Crate After Dark edition that I got just had the books. To be honest, I didn't like the other book that I got with this one. I gave it away, so I hope my friend likes it. But the sprayed edges are pretty, and this one's a little bit longer, and the cover's gorgeous. Yeah, look at this. It's a queer FF. Yeah, it's a queer FF romance with vampires. And yeah, no, like we have like these end paper illustrations. Ooh, very cool. We'll see how it goes. Because I wanted to give this a fair shake before I decide to keep it or not, you know? Before she sashays away. I don't watch a lot of RuPaul, but when I came up with the idea for this video, I was like, you gotta lip sync for your life. And I'm like, if I say read for their lives, then that's not quite the same. The next book is Black Wings Beating by Alex London. Dun, 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 dun. This one I got at the launch event, and I procrastinated and I still haven't read it. Yeah, this is a signed edition, isn't it? We were, and I feel, see, this is an inside, see, he put in an inside joke. We were talking about something when I came up to him at the signing table, and now I don't even remember. I don't even remember what we were talking about. We were talking about One Direction, but I didn't even know what it was something to do. So I feel really bad if I don't like this, then like our inside joke about One Direction that we had once, like, I don't even know how long ago this was. When did this come out? Oh my God. It came out 6 years ago. Yeah, see, so then if I don't like it, then I have to give away our inside joke about One Direction. Then whoever picks it up is like, why are they talking about Zayn? Do they mean Zayn from One Direction? And I'm like, I can't tell them, yes, we were talking about Zayn from One Direction. Yeah, see, that's why nowadays I actually don't really, unless I'm absolutely sure, nowadays I don't really like to do personalized books. Oh, this is the surprise book. It's actually a graphic novel. It's actually 2 graphic novels that I have in my dad's house. So luckily I have to make a note to read that after Black Wings Beating. But it's Monstrous by Marjorie Liu. I bought 2 volumes. And not kidding, I only bought it for the art, and also I think it was the Barnes & Noble special edition came with posters, and I wanted the poster. That's the only reason why I bought them. I did read them, but I don't remember anything about it, so that's why I threw that in there as like a random, as like the wild card round. The art is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, but I don't remember anything in the story, so I'm like, well, she also got to fight for her life now too. And what's the next one? We're almost there. Wildwood. This one, I have no idea. It just looks pretty, and I found it in a free library. I think it's a little bit more on the middle grade side, and it's very much like, I think, yeah, this like girl goes on like a mission to save her brother when he's like mysteriously kidnapped by crows, and it is illustrated, so it kind of gives me the vibes of like the classic fantasy middle-ish grade books. Yeah, we'll just see how it goes because the type is quite big. Oh yeah, and the illustrations are gorgeous. Okay, last two. Last 2 are Tread of Angels by Rebecca Roanhorse and Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi. So whoever's next. I was hoping Tread of Angels will be first because it's shorter, but okay, Gilded Wolves is next by Roshani Chokshi. Now this one, I don't remember anything about it. I do remember that like I think some people were disappointed by it, but I want to give it a fair shake on my own. Yeah, I don't even remember what it's about. So that's a surprise. And then the last one is Tread of Angels by Rebecca Roanhorse. I personally really love Rebecca Roanhorse's Sixth World series. I've talked about it before on this channel. Book 3 still hasn't been announced. I know she has a bunch of other books out, but I haven't gotten around to them. This one I won in a giveaway, a Goodreads giveaway. I surprisingly won a lot of those. The smallest one is somehow the last one. I feel like the way that I had it arranged before is basically the way I have it arranged now. I'm gonna try and keep this short, then I'll check in after I read or decide my feelings on these books. Yeah, okay, we'll just see how it goes. Good luck.
The time has come. You to
read
for your life.
Hello. So, quick update. Where did I even put it? I read about a third of Learning to Swear in America, and I decided to DNF it. Not for any reason of the book itself. I just think that perhaps YA has really grown up for me in some ways. I've been feeling like I haven't really been into YA as much. This lighting is terrible, please ignore it. In my early 20s, I'm in my mid 20s, oh god. Definitely even in my early 20s I was coming out of YA, but there was always something about it that I could still turn to in some ways, but I guess for now I haven't really been into YA much, and I think this is just one of those cases. I do enjoy it, like I do enjoy the premise, and I did enjoy the writing, what I've gotten up to. But I guess the thing was, when I was reading it, I was a third of the way in. Even though I wanted to connect with the characters, I kind of really wasn't. And then once the main premise was established, I was like, well, I can kind of guess what's gonna happen anyway. And even when I thought that, I was like, okay, but let me just try to finish this normally as much as I can. But then I got to a point and I was like, I can't bring myself to read. I just ended up skimming the whole thing and pretty much it played out exactly as I thought, because as I mentioned before, the premise is that there's this young man. He's 17 years old. He's a Russian physics prodigy, and he's been invited to NASA, to the Jet Propulsion Lab, to try and stop this asteroid coming to Earth, and and he is there to help do the math to basically stop this asteroid. But he's a young man and he wants to do antimatter, but it's only theoretical and no one listens to him. But he meets this young woman who's like the daughter of a janitor at NASA or Jet Propulsion. I don't know, because one of them's anyway. I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to go on a rambling about Jet Propulsion. And she's the artist. She is like the one with like the quirks and like the fun family, and he's like the one from like a cold Russian science family. And there's also this part in the beginning, minor spoiler. Basically, he does something really stupid in the beginning, and somehow he's surprised when it has geopolitical repercussions. And I'm like, and then that informs the ending, because I did flip through the pages towards the end. I'm just a little bit like, why did you not stop to think that maybe doing that thing was a good idea? And I was a little bit like, you're 17 years old and you're a prodigy, but clearly you slept during history government class or whatever. Anyway, so I've started a little bit of the Prey of Gods. I've only finished one chapter, so I can't even begin to get some thoughts about it yet, but I did like the first chapter, Prey of Gods. I'm reading that now. That's the next one on the list. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I guess it's I was thinking when I was reading Learning to Swear, I was like, oh, but I can feel that it's predictable. I can feel like I can predict what's going to happen, but does that warrant a DNF? And I'm like, well, I guess when you want a DNF, you just know. And so that's how I felt with Learning to Swear. It's a good book. So really, if you feel like you want to read it, then I say go for it. It's a good book. It just wasn't for me at the time. And I hate to say, if I read it earlier, I probably would have liked it more, but anyway, that's just how it is. So I'll keep you updated on the next one. Hello, I'm back. It's been a few days since my last update. My hair looks great because I was out at an event yesterday and I decided to splurge and actually get a blowout. I actually did also get a blow dryer to see. I've never owned a blow dryer in my life. Fun fact. Also, my new Calyx shelves are mostly built. I got the pegboard doors. I know I said I might be moving in an earlier clip. It's still possible, but the timeline is so uncertain. So that's why I decided to build this. I've been having it. I left it by my front door because I'm like, well, I bought this, but I might be moving now, so I shouldn't even bother building it. But then my mom was like, look, the timeline is uncertain, just build it now because, and then I'm like, you know what, moms be moms, but they are kind of right. And to be honest, I think I was on the fence about building it anyway. And I got the pegboard style doors so I can try and customize it. And also, Calyx doesn't come with backs. Anyway, I finished The Prey of Gods by Nikki Drayden the other day, and I absolutely enjoyed it. As I said when I was listing the books, this follows a plethora of characters, and each of them having their own story, their own plot line until they all converge together. And honestly, I was super enjoying it. I wasn't sure about it at first because I'm like, oh my god, this is a cast of characters and it's not very big. I wonder if I can get into this. But definitely, I highly recommend this book. It takes place in South Africa, futuristic version of South Africa where now personal robots have become the norm. There's been sweeping strides in technology. Not quite utopian future, but definitely a futuristic setting. But there are also some ancient gods lurking about, and they are in to stir some trouble. I'm not gonna go into it, but I definitely recommend it. This is weird, but it's to me if that movie Chappie had American gods sprinkled in. If this could be a mini series, this would be great. I was thinking about it because it's not a very large book. It's only about 350 pages, and even still, I'm like, this could be a really good movie. But I think it could be expanded upon and explored deeper if it were perhaps a mini series. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this, but I am thinking yes, I will keep it because I did enjoy it a lot. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm trying to downsize. The ultimate goal of this video is can these books survive the downsizing? Because ultimately, you can enjoy books, but you don't really feel like you need to keep them, because deciding to keep them is a different thing than deciding whether or not you like them. I've liked a bunch of library books. I return them to the library, and that's okay. This one I think I am leaning towards keeping, so this one survives. The next one I'm going to read now is... I have it over here. Is The Ministry of Time by Kalliane. I hope that's how you pronounce her name. Kalliane? Kalliane. I'm thinking Kalliane. It came out last May. And so yeah, The Ministry of Time. We'll see how this one goes. I forgot what day it is since I last did an update. I'm barely in The Ministry of Time by Kalliane Bradley. I really hope that's how you pronounce her name. I'm barely in it, even though I've tried to read it so much. It's been a really weird day, so excuse me for being in bed. But the thing is, I've been trying all day to get through chapter 2. It's not a very long book, but somehow it just feels like the longest book. I read chapter 1. I'm just not very excited about it. Maybe it's also because of my mental state at the moment, which is going through the absolute ringer right now. But, you know, I was expecting, I guess, some sci-fi fun. I read the first chapter, just the first chapter, and I did not have very exciting feelings about it. I'm only, I think, about 50 pages. Did I lose my... No, here it is. Yeah, I'm page 52. Oh, my tiny bookmark fell. Why is it so tiny? And I really hope it's just me not vibing with the book and not my mental state affecting how I'm reading it. I don't think it's that, but still, I'm thinking about it. The way that this book reads, it's very much as if, like, the main character is writing a journal or a mission report. And the thing is, we don't even know her name. Okay, so getting into the plot, I think I talked about the plot a little bit when I introduced it. But basically, just to recap, the plot is... like, time travel has been discovered, and this Ministry of Time has, what's the word to think about it? Has kind of, like, plucked certain people out of time. Like, they were supposed to be dead for various reasons, like, in their point in time, but they plucked them out just before they're going to die. I guess to, like, you know, avoid ripping a hole in the space-time continuum or whatever. And the main character, we don't know her name. I don't know why we don't know her name. It's written in the first person, and she is working for the British government, because it's the British government that discovers time travel, and she is assigned as a new agent in this ministry as a bridge. So what she and the other 4 bridges do is to basically help their charge or their expat, to help them get acclimated to modern life. They all come from various times, like World War One, I think, is one guy, and then, but her guy is like a Victorian Arctic explorer. And to be honest, when I first was reading about this book, I thought it was a fictional historical figure. No, his name is Commander Graham Gore, and apparently he was a real historical figure from the 1850s Franklin expedition to the Arctic. And I read the author's note in the beginning, and, you know, all the crazy things that we did during lockdown. Well, she got really into reading about this Arctic expedition and saw his picture and was, like, I guess enamored with him. And then when I'm reading the first chapter and the main character is also a British Cambodian woman who can pass off for white, unnamed, in the first person, I'm thinking, like, is this some sort of self-insert fanfiction between herself and this Victorian era British Arctic explorer who really existed and died? Like, if you know me, like, I'm not the type of person who wants to bring the author into my reading of a book, but this is the author. I'll put up a picture here, and I'm thinking about that and thinking what I know about the author, because I read the author's note. I'm a little bit like, what? Is this really? Because, like, I think I would have, what's the word? I don't want to say accepted it better, but I think I would have, like, my suspension of disbelief would be better sustained if it was a fictional historical figure, because that's what I thought he was, like the other guy, when I first got into this book, because then I would have been like, it would have been a little weird if it were a fake historical guy, because, like, of course, like, it just depends on like the context or like the type of book you're going for, because of course it's like, if you want to write about real historical figures but put them in a fictionalized narrative, then, like, go for it, because then it's like how My Lady Jane does it. Of course, like, that one is just like it's very tongue-in-cheek about how not seriously they're taking it. But like the thing is, it's with this, it's different because I don't know, I guess it's because it feels to me that it is a self-insert, but it's trying not to draw attention to it, or it is. I don't really know. I'm only on the second chapter, but I am 50 pages in. It just feels weird. I can't really explain why it feels weird. I thought it would be cool to see, oh, this guy is learning about the modern world, and yet the pacing is moving slow, but over a long period of time already, because in the first chapter it seemed like a couple of days and weeks have gone by, maybe even a month perhaps, and I'm not really sure about the time frame here. And yet, like, she already taught him, like, there's not really a deep dive or like about like explaining to him like things like Spotify or toilets, like flushing toilets. Yeah, the way that it reads, it's like I said earlier, it's like a journal or a mission report, or she's writing a letter. It's not very in the moment about it. There are some interlude chapters about Commander Graham Gore during his exhibition, like flashbacks, interludes, and there's only like 2 of them I read so far because I'm only on chapter 2. Those are actually really cool because those are like in the moment action where he's talking with his like fellow like officers about what to do, or like the moment that he was presumably dying. Like those are like in the moment stuff. But then like with these like the main characters chapters, it's like, oh yeah, we talked about Spotify and he said it was great. I'm like, okay, but like, and I don't really get it. Yeah, just so far, I don't want to judge so hastily because I'm only 50 pages in, but even still, I don't really have a strong feeling about it. I don't really feel connected to the characters. I just kind of want to push through because, to be honest, what really intrigues me is that apparently, and this is on the back of my art copy that I've won, it's like already sold as a TV adaptation. Apparently, it's to the BBC, and it was auctioned in a 21-way auction. So that means like 21, I guess, publishers auctioned for this, which is really interesting. But yeah, no, I didn't want to look into reviews so quickly, but I did take a dip into the Goodreads reviews, and this has like a 3.6 on Goodreads, which isn't great, but I try not to take Goodreads ratings at face value, because one book that I did enjoy that has like a 3.6 is The Atlas 6, and that one I understand why it has a bit of a mixed rating, because Olivia Blake's writing style is very specific and not really for everybody, I could tell. So that one I understood, but for this one I'm like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it, Chief. But apparently also that, yeah, and the thing is I shouldn't really take it at face value because apparently it's been review bombed for like this baseless accusation of plagiarism, but it's only really because this book shares a name and the time travel concept with this Spanish TV show called The Ministry of Time, in Spanish El Ministerio del Tiempo or Tiempo or something like that. My Spanish isn't very good. I'm trying to pick it up more. Anyway, my battery's dying, but just like I'm only 50 pages into The Ministry of Time. I haven't been feeling well. I'm gonna try and get through it, but like I'm feeling like I might DNF it, but I'm gonna try and make it to the 1/3 mark, and I think I'm only about not that. Okay, I'll see you in the next update. Hello, it is the next morning, and I'm sorry to say, Chief, I could not do it. I could not finish The Ministry of Time by Kelly M. Bradley. I made it a little bit farther than 1/3, because around the 1/3 mark, I was like, okay, this is picking up. Maybe I can finish it. But then it was around the 130 mark, and I was a little bit like, well, I can't do it. This isn't it for me, Chief. I basically kind of flipped around till I got to the end because I did want to know what happens, and there are some interesting ideas that I did see when I was skimming through to the end, but unfortunately I guess at the end of the day I just could not get over the romance subplot. It was just, I just kept thinking about the real people and I just got too weirded out. Yeah, and I just could not picture it. And again, like I think I mentioned it in my previous update that the main character kind of sometimes times describes like motherly like feelings towards him because she is helping him get acclimated into our modern world. And I'm like, yeah, that's a very motherly role to take on. And I did just watch The Wild Robot a couple of days ago, so the theme of motherhood and like child rearing is like, I guess, fresh on my mind. Yeah, so at the end of the day, this just wasn't for me. I think at the end it was basically just a matter of like, this author's kinks are not my kinks. That's what I was thinking of, because there is like some sex scenes towards the end, and I did read those, and I'm a little bit like, this is cool, but also like I am weirded out, and I think that's just how it is. I think for me, that like what I've read of this book is that it was trying to be a lot of things at once, and I was more interested in some things than the other. Like I was more interested in the sci-fi aspect rather than the romance, or I think they're going for like a character study type of literary book where talking about like this man out of time and like the person trying to bring him to our time and like their relationship. I wasn't really interested in that. I was more interested in the sci-fi aspect. And when I skimmed to the end, there were some really cool ideas, but I was just left with too many questions at the beginning, and then I made it to like a little bit past the 1/3 mark, and it just could not sustain me. Well, if I thought about it, and I'm like, well, the thing about making this into a television adaptation is that hopefully they won't linger on the character study part, and they will focus more on the spy thriller time travel sci-fi part. That would definitely catch my interest. And I don't really know how to feel about the romance subplot. It's just still too weird. I'm just thinking about the real guy, and I'm like, dude, there's a book written about you in this way. How do you feel? And he's been dead for like, oh my god, I can't do math in my head. 170 years? Yes, I've decided that's right, I think. Alright, so that's just me in the Ministry of Time. I don't think I'm gonna keep this. Since it's an art copy, I'll give it away somehow for free. And so the next book I'm going to read is Someday We Will Fly by Rachel Dewolskin. And this is the historical fiction. This is about a Polish family fleeing the Nazis to escape to Shanghai. I'll get started on this maybe in a little bit because like my brain needs to recover from the Ministry of Time. And yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. Hi guys, I'm back one more time. I don't remember the last time I did this update because I think it's been a few days because it's, oh my god, I'm just gonna, one second. This is too much. How do I get out of the sun? Okay, glassesless Grace. It's been a few days since my last update. It's just been crazy these past few days, and also I've just been exhausted, and I think just like in general mentally I've been running on fumes, honestly. But I got some good news and bad news. And bad news is that I tried, but I've decided to DNF Someday We Will Fly by Rachel Dewolskin. I really wanted to get through with this because I am interested in the history, but I think that is part of the reason why I felt like it's okay to DNF this one, because I was more interested in the history rather than the plot or the characters. So like I said before, Someday We Will Fly follows this young girl. Her name is Lilia, and she is the daughter of circus performers. She has a little sister named Naomi who is struggling a little bit developmentally. She's never talked. She barely moves, but they're a loving family living in Warsaw, Poland when the Nazis come, because this is the 1940s. Lilia and her baby sister and her father flee to Shanghai without their mother because she suddenly went missing after their last performance. I made it to, I think, what was it, about 100, a little over 100 pages. I think like 110, honestly. I really wanted to give it like a really good solid attempt, maybe even half, but I just wasn't really connecting with the main characters at all. The writing style was also, I feel like, in some ways similar to Ministry of Time. Not as dry, but distant from the voice, because I think what it's going for is that Lilia is looking back on this time and reciting it to us, the reader. But I really don't feel like that works for me personally. This one was quite long, and I don't want to say meandering because like it is very descriptive, but I guess at some point I just wanted to learn more about the environment outside, and it was doing that, but it was quite slow paced. And I guess like I did want to like see more Chinese characters, but I have done some research since then about this period of time. And no, like it is fairly true to history that like the Jewish people who escaped to Shanghai, it was about 20,000 estimated, and they just stayed in their neighborhood for the most part. But you know, they did like make friends, make connections, establish themselves there. It's quite fascinating, honestly, and like kind of crazy, because it's like how many of these threads connect to modern day, because it wasn't as if like Jewish people could just go to Shanghai. It's more so that like there was an established Jewish presence in Shanghai, and so it's not an unfamiliar place technically, but when the war broke out, like that's why Shanghai was talked about as a destination. In addition to, there were some people in the Japanese government, because this was at the time when Shanghai was occupied by Japan, like mostly, and then fully occupied by Japan. And there were some people within the Japanese government and the Chinese government who were issuing visas at the risk of their careers to help Jewish people flee to Shanghai. Also, I think this was also mentioned in the book that like Japan, even though Japan was allies with like the Axis powers, was allies with Germany at the time of World War II, they weren't like, you know, buddy and agreed on everything with each other. Like apparently there was some like, they believed that anti-Semitic conspiracy that like all Jewish people controlled the government, but that somehow worked to their advantage, because then they were like, oh yeah, you can come to Japan. Kind of like, I'm gonna go ramble, but like it's kind of crazy, because like of course there was like the colonial powers like teaming up and against each. Anyway, I'm gonna stop, because then I'm gonna go crazy, because I'm trying to quit Twitter and I can't think about it. I can't think about crazy heavy stuff right now. But anyway, I'm back to the book. I just at some point I just skimmed it again because I did want to know what happened, and it was a little bit crazy because spoilers. If you really want to read this book, please go read it for yourself. There is a point, because Lilia is 16 years old and she's an acrobat. She eventually comes across a gentleman's club in which she can make money by dancing. Nothing like crazy happens other than dancing, but she does meet like a Japanese guy named like Mr. Takati, which it sounds like a bizarre half Japanese name. Like if it was Mr. Takashi, then maybe Mr. Takati, I don't know. Did he say he was from Okinawa? I'm gonna stop. But his name is Mr. Takati, and yeah, he like develops this relationship with Lilia, and she, I think, kind of grows attached to him, and he does help in some ways later when again, spoilers, she finds out that her mom is alive in Japan. He is able to help her get a visa and bring her over to Shanghai, and they never see each other again apparently. I'm gonna move on because I'm trying to make this short because I am reading 10 books. I have started reading American Gothic. I am quite a ways in already because Halloween is coming up really soon. I can't believe we're at the end of October already. Yeah, Mexican Gothic is everything that I personally, I think, really enjoy. There's like the mystery, the writing style is very much more in the present, unraveling the mystery. As I said before, it's about this young woman named, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Is it Noemi? And she gets a letter from her cousin, and her cousin is like, girl, they're trying to poison me in this house. They're trying to kill me. My husband's family is so crazy and weird and gothic. And then Naomi is like, but because she's the party girl. And then her father's like, look, can you please check out on her and I'll allow you to go to university? And she's like, bet. You better put that down in writing. She goes to see her cousin in like these like deep mountainous woods in this dank house that's dilapidated beyond repair because the family she married into are the Doyles, and they're like these like weirdo out of Victorian times English family, white, pale, blonde, blue-eyed English family who like owned the mines that were nearby, but then the mines dried up, and then there was a revolution, and then there was the War of Independence in there, and they didn't leave because for whatever reason they stayed. And poor Catalina, her cousin, is like stuck there, and poor Noemi is like, these people are weird as heck. I need to get my cousin out of here. That's where I'm at right now. Like, she's met like the old patriarch of the house who's very like into eugenics, and it's so creepy. She meets like her cousin's husband who's like incredibly mean, but like is also like, oh no, I'm sorry, like I'm just totally stressed out right now. And she's like, okay. And then there was like the younger cousin named Frances who's like the poor little brother type who's like, I've never left this house, I've never broken any rules, and like he's kind of like a sad puppy. But then there's also the matriarch, who I think is it's like a complicated ass family tree, because there's the patriarch Howard, and I think Florence is the great niece. Yes, is the great niece, and then Virgil, Catalina's husband, is Howard's son, which makes him and Florence cousins, kind of. And then Francis is Florence's son, and that does make him a first cousin once removed, I think, because that's how he introduced. Okay, so I think I got it. It helps having a large Irish family such as myself when I'm trying to map everything out. So yeah, I'm really early in the mystery now. I finished 7 chapters. So I think I am gonna finish this one, and we'll just see how that goes. All right, I'll see you all in the next update, and hopefully maybe I'll have been very far in this book or have finished this book. See you. Hello, I am back with a quick update because I've been so busy for this past weekend. I didn't get to update sooner, but I did finally finish Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and honestly, I loved it a lot. The Gothic mystery kept me hooked, and it helps that this was also a pretty short book. I honestly really enjoyed the mystery. That's what kept me going throughout all these pages. I love the character of Noemi and her development throughout the story. But just the thing that was mostly keeping me up was the mystery and like unlocking the secrets of the house and the secrets of the family. I pretty much like predicted all of it because I know the Gothic conventions, but even still, it was just a lot of fun to read, especially with like how this English family, the Doyles, operated. It was like supremely creepy, even though like, oh yeah, duh, this happened and this is what these weird Europeans do. I was still like, oh my god, this is still creepy as hell. I think that this would make a really good miniseries, and I think it has been picked up, optioned, or in development back in 2020. I looked it up, and honestly, I just really hope this could get a series adaptation. I think that this could be like, well, Crimson Peak wasn't bad, but it wasn't great, honestly. Like, definitely the aesthetics were there, but like a different kind of Crimson Peak style story. And yeah, I won't go into it too much because like the thing is about good books is that like the less you say the better, just because you love them so much. I can talk pages and pages about bad books, but good books I can just say is like, just go read this. And because the thing is I got this book for free at a free store, I am gonna like, you know, pay it forward, put it back in another free store. But like honestly, I think this was like the best time for me to read this. It's been a really weird like week this past October. Like I'm in like the end of October, we're coming up in the last week of October now. It's been weirdly like warm, but then also now I think this week we're finally getting into like real proper fall weather. And honestly, like with the Halloween vibes, like I just like the stars have aligned for me to like read this at the perfect time. Definitely I am more inclined now to look at more of Silvia Moreno Garcia's works. She is an author that's been recommended to me before. But yeah, no, Mexican Gothic, like I'm really glad I caught up to the hype, and this was a really good book. So the next book that I have already started, I read the first 3-ish chapters, is Contract Bound by Elle May. Again, I don't really usually take part in like crate subscription boxes, but I think the deal with like Rainbow Crate and other similar-ish crates, unless they work with traditionally published books, is that they take indie authors and give them like a zhuzhed up like special edition. Again, like yeah, this special edition is really cool. I personally really love the colors, like the warm tones, the gilded title, the sprayed edge here. I'm not a huge fan of sprayed edges because I kind of just don't really care about them. Also, like when you flip through, I mean, when you first like crack them with a sprayed edge, it just feels like the ink is like still stuck to each other, and that maybe that's just like a me thing and like a sensory thing that I'm not really a big fan of. But like once you like flip through the pages a couple of times, it kind of loosens up and it feels a bit better. The art is really pretty as well. I've talked about these end papers before, but again, like I mostly just really care about the content inside itself, and so far I'm enjoying it. I think there's some really interesting ideas here rather than just the typical like human hunter versus like seductive vampire trope, because there is quite a bit of world building that goes on to this as well. This like tentative alliance that some vampires and the order that Sylvia works for. Sylvia is the human hunter, and I forgot the vampire's name. Is it Kier? I can't quite tell because it's in a script font. Also, they're in first person perspective, so they don't say their names often. I'll get back with another update on this. I'm enjoying it so far. I kind of want to see where the world building goes. The main characters haven't met yet, but we have established that the human hunter Sylvia has a huge grudge against vampires because they were responsible for the death of her entire family, but she has been assigned to protect this vampire heir to this big clan that is partners with the Order. So we'll see where it goes. Like, it's definitely going to be a little bit of a cat and mouse game isn't the right word, but I guess like push and pull relationship, because like the vampire lesbian heir doesn't want to be in control, under the control of her father, but like her father is like the powerful clan leader, but she's like, I'm not going to play by his rules. I'm going to seduce every single one of the hunters. He gets me. I'm really early on, so we'll see how that goes. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, so you're probably wondering why I froze the frame here. It's because while I was filming this video at the end of October towards the beginning of November, the election happened, and well, it turned out not very good. And I've just been, of course, in like a really tough mental state ever since. I'm sure a lot of you are. I haven't really been reading since then. I've honestly just been writing and reading a lot of fan fiction. So I've decided to take a pause on this vlog and come back to it when I'm ready. So this is part 1, and hopefully part 2 will come out soon. I've left some links below for mutual aid groups and abortion rights groups that you can check out and donate to. It's going to be tough out there. I know me myself, I'm struggling with trying to find hope at the moment. Yeah, it's tough, but we'll take a moment, try and gauge what's happening, what's going to happen come January, and we just gotta stick together, and just keep reading, because reading is power, and even when it doesn't seem like it, reading is inherently political. Like I couldn't have imagined a lot of these books that I've been reading in this vlog to have existed not even barely 10 years ago. That's how far we've come. Yeah, like, please take care. And I came up with a lot of ideas for future videos, and it just doesn't feel right to talk about like the really cool girl boss girl groups that I read in middle school and elementary school. Like, there was a vlog about like that, and a vlog about I do really want to do a vlog about the Venom movie, the latest one that just came out, but that's kind of been on the back burner. But yeah, stay safe out there, kiss your fan and friends goodnight, keep each other close, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.